Child Rights and You organization helped thousands of vulnerable children during the pandemic. CRY partnered with grassroots level NGOs and rolled out various interventions under relief and emergency response. With its focused intervention across 19 states, they have extended help to over 2,000 households, reached out to Anganwadi workers, adolescent girls, and poor children. NewsX proudly recognizes second wave superhero, CRY organization, and Pooja Marwah.
Very good evening and welcome. You're watching NewsX special series Second Wave Superheroes, where we bring you stories of people and organizations who lend a helping hand at a time when India was reeling under a devastating pandemic, as India still continues to reel under a devastating pandemic, in fact. Joining us today is Pooja Marwah, CEO of CRY organization. Welcome to the show, ma'am, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I hope you're good too. Let's straight dive into the conversation, ma'am. So, help us understand the role of CRY and what has been CRY, what has been CRY doing or helping people out during the time of pandemic.
So we are basically, as you know, a child rights organization. And one of the, I think that one of the sets of people most affected by the pandemic are children in a very invisible way, not in that they are getting COVID or getting sick, but that they have not been able to go to schools. They do not get access to the kind of food and nutrition that they need. And because of really not being in school and not being able to learn, I think they faced a lot of issues in terms of child labor and child marriage. So we've done a set of things. One is, of course, that we needed to do food aid. So after 20 years, CRY actually looked at ration. We have a reach out to 18 to 19 states. So we were able to reach migrants both in the cities that they were, last year leaving from, as well as in the villages where they reached back. And this year, that is, of course, more of an issue, is that most people are in villages, but livelihoods are an issue. So we need to look at rations and food aid again. We need to, we have also looked at, last year we also did a lot of work on COVID awareness and COVID habits and education support, so that those children who couldn't access online education, you can imagine, most of our children don't have that, got that support, as well as ensured that the children were still being immunized, that their malnutrition was still being tracked, etc. This year, we have added on looking at augmenting facilities for PHCs. So looked at a lot of PPE material for frontline warriors and a lot of our NGOs partners who are sitting at the front line, looking at equipping them with this year oxygen, etc., etc.
Right, ma'am. Also, because CRY basically focuses on child rights, I have to ask this question because, during the second wave of pandemic, a lot of children whose parents were affected of COVID, a lot of, we call them COVID orphans now. And there has been a lot of hue and cry about where will these children go. The legal procedure, the advocacy matter, and as well as the well-being of these kids is also very crucial, but also raises a question of what exactly is happening right now, because we are skeptical of the system when it comes to children. How do you think CRY is helping children out in that particular sense?
Okay, so there are a couple of impacts on children. Like I said, the real impact that we are worried about is children falling into labor as well as being married, and as you said, the possibility of them being trafficked, or as if in case they lose their parents or they lose their livelihoods, what happens to them. So, of course, we have a role within the Constitution of India, which is we need to ensure that we work with about 4 lakh, 3.5 to 4 lakh children and their families. So in those families, particularly, we track every child. So once we know that there is a vulnerability, that there may be an ill parent or whatever, to make sure that the child is given care during the time of illness. And if in case the child is orphaned, the process is followed in terms of protecting the child, helping the authorities, ensuring the child lines are informed, helping the child welfare committees to find appropriate caregivers. Because the first step should be to find extended family who may be willing to take on the children, and then only put them into the adoption system. And of course, thereafter, help to find suitable parents. So I would actually urge most people to not jump into it, but actually look at a strategy by which you can help NGOs like us ensure that these children are safe and that they are in safe hands. Let us not assume that every adoptive family is necessarily safe. So our strategy right now is to focus on 2 or 3 things. We have to ensure that children get access to education, because I cannot describe to you what a huge loss the closing of schools is for very vulnerable and poor children. Because for them, school is also a place they are protected, right? And they're getting bored and they're sitting at home. So we are seeing a spike in child labor and in child marriage. So our second strategy is to ensure that that's worked on. We are also right now trying to equip both parents and all caregivers. So our own field coordinators, the Anganwadi workers, etc., on mental health. Because children are very disturbed. Their entire natural life has been disturbed. Their parents are so scared, they don't let them play. It's just a whole set of things that is bad for their development. So I think right now the focus of organizations like us, focusing on children, has to be on creating well-being for children and ensuring that they catch up with studies so they're able to go back to school.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you all the best. And your organization is doing a commendable job. Thank you so much for helping children out there. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And thank you, Param, for helping by covering our efforts. It's really valuable to us. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.